Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Northwest Geology Guy. My name's Scott, and I'll be your host today. And today we're going to be talking about my prospecting day on the Tilton River in Morton. My son and I went up there. We spent I'd say about 4 hours on the river. And this is a picture here, and it looks like to be the same area that we were at. I was just having a problem. I took a couple pictures on my phone, but it just didn't seem like it wanted to load in the computer. So I thought I'd use this pic I got off the internet. The river was really low. The water flow was terrible. There was a lot of sandbars throughout the area we were in. Just a little beyond this rock right here, about right in there was a huge sandbar. And then there was one further downstream and one upstream from there. But I hadn't been in the area in about 45 years. We used to have a lot of river rock here to walk along. We used to go in there as kids and wade in the glacial waters. You couldn't swim. It was just too icy cold. But when I got there, everything had changed because my cousin lives right across. There's a new bridge they built across here. He lives just on the other side of the bridge. And the river goes under the bridge and then makes a right-hand turn behind his property and goes on downstream. Well, I knew I could walk out there when I was a kid behind his yard. Actually, it was my uncle's house. Walk right through the yard into the little forest area, and then probably about 100 feet come out on the river gravel there and have the river there. And that's where I was hoping to go. But there's some kind of Japanese bamboo that's kind of taken over the whole area, my cousin said. And it was so thick, we couldn't even make it down to the river. So I thought, okay, we've driven a long ways to get here. It took about 2.5 hours to get there. So we decided to go back across the bridge, and see if we can get down to the river over there. I know we used to be able to, but I don't remember it being that steep. And heck, I'll be 59 in about a month, a little over a month, and I got arthritis and joint pain. And excuse me, going down wasn't too awful bad, but coming back up was a nightmare. There was a little bit of outcrop of bedrock that I had to step on and navigate. And even with my cane and the half shovel we had, I was using that like ski poles trying to get up the hill. I had to stop and rest a few minutes, man, in between, because that was horrible. But we had a blast. Didn't get it, not even a flake of gold. And I don't remember this, but, when you're a kid, you don't stop and look at things like I do now. But the river banks, everything there is just loaded, and I mean loaded, with glacial till. Now, if you don't know what glacial till is, just think of beach sand. That's exactly what it looks like. Because when the glaciers come down on the mountains, or like it did through western Washington in the last ice age, the ice is so heavy that it just grinds the rocks that it goes over into sand. It's like putting something in a blender and leaving it on for a while. And we couldn't get to any soil at all to pan. And it was a nightmare trying to pan a pan full of sand. Because sand, it stays at the bottom. And with normal soil in there, you can, if it's kind of clay, kind of clumpy, you can put your hand in there and break it up like that and start swirling your pan. That's called stratifying it. and it lifts the rocks and every soil up off the bottom of the pan. And gold is 19.3 times heavier than water, so the gold will drop to the pan while everything else starts to float while you're spinning it. You don't have to be real crazy about it, but it works. It's a really good technique. They've been using that ever since the middle of the 1800s. So I couldn't get it done. And my son worked it for a while, and we were down. He thought he saw something, but all it turned out to be was a little bit of a little flake of quartz. So we didn't even get anything, but we had a really good time. Right down here in this area, there was a tree log that came out like this and went back in to the riverbank. So it made a nice little seat for us to sit there and just kind of take in the beauty. And we wanted to keep a good ear and eye out because my cousin told me a couple weeks ago that there had been a male bear in the area, spotted in the area. So we were keeping our ears open. And when we get down there and we're setting everything up, I'm starting to look around, and my son goes, "Dad, what are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking at the geology of the riverbank to tell me what's there." And because, I'm looking for mineralization, like from iron, rust stains, any sulfides, clumps of sulfur that's oxidizing, to tell me if there's gold in the area. And I happened to look up. There's at the very bottom of the picture down here, there's back a little bit more, looks like a game trail. And on the game trail up there, it looked like a thigh bone of a moose that had been freshly killed, because the bone looked just like you took it out of your steak. And it was that fresh looking. And there was some other crushed bones alongside it. And I kind of looked at my son. He looked at me. I said, "Well, if we hear any rustling in the things," I said, "take off like a bat out of hell." But we never ran into the bear. I told my son chances are that he's probably still full from eating all the moose, so we should be okay. But as I was doing some more looking around in between panning, or attempting to pan, I was looking at the riverbank down here along where the rocks and the glacial till is, and just down around here, I started finding lava rock. Now, you can always tell river rock because it's rounded, no sharp peaks to it. It's really worn down from the water and tumbling in the rivers. But the basalt, and I found some rhyolite, kind of a pinkish rhyolite. I'm sorry, andesite. And I thought, like, this don't belong here. And I pointed out to my son. I said, "Look it." I said, "Here's a regular river rock. See how it's rounded? The whole thing looked like a little pancake." And I said, "Now here's the basalt. See how rough it is, how jagged it is around the sides?" I said, "That didn't get here by the water flow." And when we got back home the next day, I called my buddy down at the Cascade Volcano Observatory and told him where I was, or had been, where I found these, and described them to him. And he said, "Well, you're up in the mountains near the Cascades, because we're kind of like in between Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens." And evidently, in the ancient past, there must have been a volcano in that area, or very close to where I was, because that rock didn't travel. And at Mount Rainier, it usually has andesite lava flows, and almost every single one in the history of the volcano has never left the national park. One time, I guess, it just crossed over by mere feet because the andesite is so thick. It has a high content of silica. Silica is in every lava because that's the most plentiful compound on the planet. And basalt has 45, like at Kilauea, and that can run very hot, very fast for lava. But the andesite is like warm peanut butter. And you try to pour it out like that, and it just kind of slowly comes out and then glomp on the plate. That's how the andesite is. It has roughly 70 to 75% silica and some hornblende, some calcite. Sometimes you get quartz in it, but it's very, very viscous, and it doesn't go very far from the source. So that's kind of telling me that there has been at least one, possibly two places of volcanism. I can't say definitely that there had been volcanoes. There could have been fissures that opened up and produced the basalt lava, and another one, the andesite. But I'm not 100%. But we both thought that was pretty cool when we were discussing this when I was talking to my buddy down at the CVO, and he goes, "Wow," he goes, "I'm gonna note this down because that's basically having me out there doing field research." Because I told him, I said, and it's not just one or two. I said, there's a bunch of them down the river. I said, I can't walk up and down the river bank because there's not very much area for me to walk in. But I said, it's pretty well littered with a lot of them. And there was some andesite that had big chunks of either milky quartz or calcite in it. And that's almost like an andesite porphyry. And that's kind of, it's a little different than just the plain magma or lava. And, I'm describing everything to him. I said, I definitely found, I brought home 2 pieces of basalt. And I said it was real chunky with, it looked like some mica and some crystallized quartz inside it. It almost looked like it was going to turn into a geo, but it didn't. And it looked kind of like a hamburger patty, but it looked like there was like layers to it. It wasn't just one glob. It was layered a little bit. And I just thought that was really neat because, I found the rock, and within 24 hours, I solved the mystery. And my buddy down at the CVO, he told me to download an app on my phone. It's called ROCKD. And that has a map on there, and it shows you your current location and tells you the makeup of your soil and bedrock. And there's glacial till all over the place in western Washington. But up there, that's known specifically for the glacial till and volcanic rocks. And so that kind of told me for a fact that that they do know that there was volcanism in the area, but nobody's ever found the spot of the ancient volcano that's worn away. But I just thought that was really neat. But I'm planning on going out maybe next week. Right now, I'm so sore I can hardly walk. I've been spraying pain spray on my hip and my leg and my knee, trying to get around. But brings me back to my my days as a football player, wrestler, and track star. Every time I changed sports, for about 2 weeks, I was so sore in my legs and stuff because you're using different muscles for different sports. And but me and my wife are going to go out because I get 4 days off a week and work 3/12s. And so I was going to go out probably Monday with her, drive around in the area. I'll do some research on the map, looking for creeks, streams, or rivers in the area that aren't as well known as the other ones, and see if I can't find a spot that has a lot easier access to. But, nobody wants to die for the gold. But I just thought I'd give you guys an update of what was going on. Gave you a little geology in there too, which is always a plus. But, if any of you guys ever think about doing that, take your family with you. It's not so much, trying to find the gold as it is teaching the kids and have a great family outing. Pack a lunch and, take your picnic stuff with you. Go out there and just have a good time. If you find gold, hey, that's a plus. But at least you're building memories that your kids will remember as they grow up. But, okay, that's all for me. I got to get to bed because I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning. So you guys take care and talk to you soon. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And always feel welcome to comment. Even if you're going to be viewing an older one, some of my older videos, I always monitor my email for comments and almost always respond back within about 24 hours. So you guys take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good night. Bye.